sides. And spring is a challenging platform. It really is a challenging platform.
There are a few make-or-break situations for the UFL in 2025, including for the league itself. But one issue the league is looking at, the Memphis Showboats. The UFL's Daryl Johnston is not running away from the issues. He's addressing them head on. So let's talk about what he's saying about Memphis, and let's take a look at some of the things happening with the Showboats. When Daryl Johnston attended the Showboats' first home game in the Liberty Bowl in 2024, he could see issue number one, attendance. The Memphis Commercial Appeal newspaper reported Johnston's comments about the situation as he wondered aloud, what is the disconnect? Fast forward to 2025, where the Memphis Showboats have retooled after a 2-win season. They've got a new head coach, a new general manager, and a slew of new players. Johnston and UFL President and CEO Russ Brandon recently gave Memphis a vote of confidence.
You're going to see a result of the amount of time and energy that was put into it in this offseason. We've got great people on the ground, and it's just a question of, a little bit more, publicity and, knowledge of the Showboats being here.
That is issue number two, which is most likely connected to issue number one. As Johnston acknowledges, Memphis is not alone in needing to get more efforts into getting out in the community and letting people know the Showboats are a real team that plays real football. The same scenario is playing out in other markets, even Birmingham last year, where you would think after back-to-back titles then there would have been full stands and maybe a lot more signage in and around the home field. Well, maybe after 3 straight championships now, those efforts will kick back up. But back to Memphis and the issue that might have been at the core of the problems and something we touched on earlier. It's hard to drum up much support for a 2-win team, and that showed in the stands. According to the Commercial Appeal and several other outlets, Memphis had the lowest average attendance numbers in the UFL. And that's saying something when you look at the issues going on in Detroit with the Michigan Panthers at Ford Field and what the Houston Roughnecks dealt with when they were playing at Rice Stadium last year. Now, luckily for Houston, they're back at TD-ECU Stadium for 2025. We'll see what happens this year with the Michigan Panthers and their attendance issues when they return to Ford Field this year. Brandon and Johnston say they are committed to Memphis, and with an overhaul of the franchise, it seems as if the opportunity is there for the Showboats to show out in 2025. New head coach Ken Wisenhunt seems up for the challenge to kickstart this franchise.
We're going to work our tails off to get these guys prepared, and we want to bring a great product to Memphis. I'm certainly aware of the past and what's going on, in this area, but I also know it can be a very strong area for a team if you can generate some excitement and you can play good football.
So Wisenhunt is ready for the rebuild, but you have to think if there's a repeat of 2024 in 2025, the opportunity might not be there in 2026. Russ Brandon pointed out that one of the reasons the Showboats are playing in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl is the historic significance of the team. The original Showboats of the original USFL played here. Brandon says the UFL is looking at continuing to build on that legacy. Speaking of legacy, check out RoyalRetros.com for some throwbacks from the Memphis Showboats and all those original USFL teams. Also, check out the brand new gear for the upcoming debut of Arena Football 1. Go to RoyalRetros.com, use code JLS at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. So let's take one more look at the issues facing Memphis. Can they, or have they, overcome what's facing them in 2025? First off, the attendance has to improve from the reported average of nearly 6,900 fans per game last year. An early indicator will be the March 30th kickoff at home against the Panthers for a noon Eastern start that will air on ESPN. The Showboats certainly addressed the publicity issues. In January alone, the Showboats attended nearly a dozen events in and around Memphis to drum up support. According to the Showboats, this totaled more than 120 hours of community outreach with a connection of nearly 20,000 people across the region. There is no lack of trying on the publicity front with Memphis in this offseason. Johnston gave a specific shout-out to Team Communications and Media Relations Director Andy Seeley. And on a personal note, Andy is one of the best at reaching out not just to the media and the community, but he also reaches out to channels like these to keep all the fans informed about the UFL and the Memphis Showboats. Well, after a 2-win season, the Showboats felt as if a change was needed. John DeFilippo was out as head coach and Ken Wisenhunt is in. Now, as I release this, the Showboats 2024 starting quarterback Case Cookus is not on the roster, but 3 interesting quarterbacks are right now. Former Pittsburgh Mauler Troy Williams. He passed for more than 1,400 yards in leading the Maulers to the 2023 USFL Championship game. He passed for 5 touchdowns and rushed for another last year as a backup in Memphis. Former Michigan Panther E.J. Perry, who, if healthy, can be an offensive weapon for the Showboats. Perry played in 4 games last season, accounting for 6 total touchdowns. And former San Antonio Brahma Quentin Dormady, who replaced the injured Chase Garbers in San Antonio in Week 4 last year. He threw for 6 touchdowns, but also threw 6 picks. It's an interesting quarterback battle there. Jonah Dillon of the Commercial Appeal also points out Memphis signed a couple of former Memphis Tigers, defensive end Jalen Allen and wide receiver Joe Skates.
You know, people will talk about the sports landscape and maybe it being a little bit barren, but there's more and more sports that keep popping up. You know, we're going head to head with men's and women's soccer now. That was something that a few years ago we weren't talking a whole lot about. You know, the Caitlin Clark impact with the WNBA, we saw what that one was like as she came into the league. So there's a lot of competition in the spring, and we've done a great job. You know, when you look at our ratings, you know, it proves in and year out that the football fans can't get enough football, and we're happy, you know, to provide that opportunity in the spring and create some new stories and who's going to be the next up and coming star, you know, in the UFL. So we're just going to keep plugging away, you know, week after week, month after month, you know, season after season. We know we have the right people around us to get this done. We have a lot of data that supports, you know, the strength of spring football being played. So we just take it, you know, one season at a time.
And there could be a lot at stake for the Showboats in this one season. What do you think is going to happen with the Memphis Showboats in 2025? Let me know down in the comments. For more on Memphis, check out this video and be sure to like and subscribe for more UFL and alt football news right here on this channel and also on altfootball.com.